So I'm sitting at a McDonald's, like you do on a Sunday morning. Uh, and I thought to myself, you know what? You know what I need to do is get a hold of Claire's most recent episode that she was gracious enough to let me be part of and run it on this feed. And this is all a big lie. I've planned this out already, but yeah, I want you guys to be exposed to Claire because I adore her and I want to support her and I want to support you and let you hear more voices of those who are struggling. So I'm going to run it just as she produced it, as she put it out. I'm not going to do any commentary on it other than I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Exercising Depression podcast. My name is Claire, your host, and this week we're going to be catching up with our friend JP. So yes, we're back. The podcast has another episode, which bodes well for me. I said in my episode last week that I really want to dig my heels in again and start doing this properly. I miss doing it and it does really help me. So with that, this week we do have a chat with JP. Now, if you're new here and you don't know who JP is, you can go through some of my older episodes. We have spoken a few times, but JP is one of my very dearest friends. He's the host of his own podcast, Depressed Not Dead. I think we're both on this kick to start doing this podcast thing more seriously. So there will be a link to his show in the show notes today. So do go and check out his podcast too. It's very sort of similar to my sort of concept. It's he discusses his day-to-day life living with severe mental illness. And actually JP is the reason that Exercising Depression podcast exists. We've been friends for about 5 years. We met through his podcast. I was and am still a listener of his podcast, and I reached out to him. We became friends, and then he encouraged me to start my own podcast. So yes, you've got JP to thank for this podcast. So yes, we had a lovely catch up at the beginning of the week. It was so lovely to talk to him again. It's been a long time since we spoke. And we will be making this, hopefully, fingers crossed, a more regular thing. So, yes, I hope you enjoy my catch-up with JP. Hi everybody, welcome back to the podcast. If you're listening, you obviously follow me and you haven't disappeared. I'm talking to JP today. Yay! It's been a hot minute since we've chatted. I think I actually have no idea how long it's been.
Yeah, since we've actually talked, it's been a while. Yeah, maybe not even all of last year. Can that be possible?
I think maybe once we did. But that was maybe early last year.
Maybe. I don't know. Time means nothing in pandemic world. So
that's true. But if you are a long time listener, you would have heard the sultry tones of JP many times. We swapped being guests for each other for a while, didn't we? Earlier,
yes.
A few years ago. And I have to say, quite some of my most listened to episodes are the ones with you, which is really great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping, I've got a new microphone, so I'm hoping, I thought my episode last week was a bit quiet, but I'm hoping I can maybe edit that properly. But if you are not a long-time listener, maybe JP, you could introduce yourself if there's any newbies out there who are aware of who you are.
Oh, sure, I can do that. Hey, everybody, I'm JP. I am a fellow podcaster and mental illness dealer of things such. You'll find as the conversation goes on, I'm not so good with the words for a podcaster, but yeah. So I run my own podcast, Can I pimp my show here? Is that
Absolutely,
okay?
please
Okay.
do.
Yeah. So Depressed, Not Dead, that I started 4, 5, 6, 7 many years ago.
Oh,
I started it as kind of like a online journal. I wasn't really expecting to be a podcaster, right? I just wanted to put my words down somewhere where they were kind of permanent and I couldn't take them back necessarily. Because I found I did that a lot with my mental illness. It was, I'd write something down, I'd go back and look at it, excuse me, a week later, and I'd be like, oh, what was that about? That's just dumb. And I'd tear it up and throw it away. Um, and then I gained a little bit of traction, and I'm not, I'm not a podcaster, capital P, right? I'm not anything like that. But yeah, and through the show, Claire and I bumped into each other, and
yeah.
we became super good friends. And here I am, and I'm just excited to be a part of this. So
Oh, yay. Yeah. So yeah, there'll be links in the show notes to JP's podcast. Do go and check them out. I've just checked my feed from when I started doing this podcast. So I started this podcast in 2019, in June
uh-huh.
of 2019, and then one of my first episodes was a chat with you, and I was listening to it this morning.
Hmm.
And we'd been friends for a year by then, so we actually met in 2018.
Wow. Okay.
It's wild.
5 years. Wow. Yeah.
5 years.
Ooh.
Oh well, specifically, it'll be 5 years on the 3rd of June. I have it written on my calendar.
Oh, that wow. Wow.
A calendar next to my desk, one of those whiteboards, and it's just always there. It says 3rd June, Jamalki. So 5 years, blimey, that's.
Yeah.
I'd have guessed maybe 3.
Yeah, I
But
would too, until we put it in context of the world at large, right?
yeah,
So,
that's true.
but yeah, that's amazing. And
That's like one of my longest ever like actual friendships that's lasted that long. I don't make friends easy, so you're very
no,
lucky.
nor do I. Um,
Yeah, I find it hard to make friends because I don't trust very easily.
mhm.
But I trust you, so that's why we're friends.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have. I've got like one friend who I met in college, right?
Mm,
And then that's it, really, right? Like I never had groups of friends or many friends, and
mm,
uh, and it was always for a long time. It was um, like I have this low self-esteem, this low. I have different therapists have called it what is it, imposter syndrome,
yeah.
right? But it's not. It's like more deep rooted than that, right? It's like
Mm,
this. It's just I know that I am less than everybody else, right? Like totally irrational, but I just know
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's difficult for me to have ongoing relationships and conversations with people because in my
Mm,
head it's like, oh, the next sentence I say is going to reveal me for the complete utter lack of human being that I am, right? So
yeah.
I just shy away from those things. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you and I share a bond. It's
Yeah.
not a bond I would think many people would want to share, right?
No,
But we do,
it's
and we kind of speak the same language.
yeah. It's what I've always found. I'm gonna get all mushy now, JP, but I find it so easy to talk to you, and I don't experience that with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could probably talk for hours and hours and hours, and it wouldn't feel like more than 5 minutes. um, but yeah, I find it very easy to talk to you. And so not listened to it, but my episode that I did last week, basically 2022 was probably what was one of the most intense years of my life.
Mm,
So much happened, and it was really not a very nice year for me. I had some very, very difficult moments, and they lasted all year.
oh no.
Yeah, so what the next few episodes, so this one's going to come out, and then the next few episodes after that, I'm basically going to run through my 2022 and talk about everything because I'm still bottling a lot of it up at the minute, and I'm still sort of struggling with quite a few parts of it. Um, but one of the things that I did say in the episode is that I shied away from people a lot
Hmm.
because it all started going wrong sort of by April time,
Okay.
and I went through so much that I didn't have very much left of myself to give to other people, and
Right.
so
a lot of my friendships have suffered this last year, including you, which I deeply regret. And I'm not saying, oh, the world was horrible for me, so that's why I wasn't around. But I did find it very difficult to basically just exist for a year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I'll go into it a bit more maybe, and especially we'll do with my podcast, because that's given me a lot of direction, because there's a lot of things swirling around my head, and I know that from experience, when I make any episode of podcast, it helps me process a lot of things.
Yep.
So I'm hoping the pain and the horrible feelings I have because of last year, once I start talking about them properly on here, that'll kind of sort me out.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad that I didn't share with you, because you just said before we share this bond, we sort of speak the same language. And I know for a fact if I'd shared my year with you whilst it was happening, I think you probably would have been able to help me a lot. But I didn't, and I do regret that. So I am sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, great that that you feel that we could have accomplished something speaking with each other. But I mean, we're friends. I love you, and you don't have to apologize for anything, right? I mean, I get that things get going, and I mean, everybody experiences this, right? I mean, your life gets hectic, and you just I just don't have time to call Susie on the phone today. Like, I don't want to hear about her and Josh's relationship today, right? But there's another layer when we're dealing with the things that we deal with at such a base level, right? Like our mental illnesses, and it's I mean, I don't have okay, maybe I can brush my teeth, or maybe I can send an email, or maybe I can just take another swig of NyQuil and go to sleep, right? Like, I'm gonna take the swig of NyQuil and let today end, and see, hopefully tomorrow isn't as horrible, right? Like, and that it's not, like we just explained, it's not in our nature to reach out to other people necessarily, right? And we have that, maybe it's a trust issue, maybe it's a self-esteem issue, maybe it's and it's so common with people who deal with mental illness. But yeah, I mean, I wish we didn't have like a great big ocean in between us, right? And like a random July, I could have come July 4th. Why not? When we got our independence from you Brits, and swing by and say, "Hey, how are you?" Right?
Yeah.
Like we don't have that, right?
No.
And because of social media and the internet is wonderful because it's so easy to connect, but it's also super easy to let it slide.
Yeah, because you
Right?
don't have,
Like,
you can just like not open Facebook or not open your Messenger, and like sort of out of sight, out of mind.
yeah, absolutely. And so I mean, and I've done the same thing, right? Like, I didn't 2022. I don't know how to characterize the year for me, but I know the things that stopped happening. Like, I mean, my podcast fell off the face of the earth, right? My like reaching out to listeners and friends from the show just fell off completely. Um, and like, I've made it's one of my kind of resolutions this year, is that like once a week I need to do podcast communications, right? Like, reach out. I mean, there were not a lot, but I probably got like 10 emails last year from, "Hey, I'm a new listener. I'm so glad I found your show." And I was in just such a mindset that first I was like, really? Like, I haven't put a show out in 6 months, but okay, great. Um, but I just let them slide, right? Like, normally there's almost like a form letter I send back, is like, "Hey, I'm so glad you found the show. I'm so sorry that you had need to find this show," kind of thing. But I didn't even do that. And then, January 1st, I sat down at the computer and I'm like, I sent all these apology notes to people, like, hey, Blair, I'm so sorry that I didn't write back. I hope you're still, doing okay, and blah blah blah, all that. So I get that, and I wish I could have come over and just given you a big hug or something, right? But here we are now, so let's just move forward from today.
I'm hoping that this is going to be the beginning of us getting back to talking a lot. Just sorry, while you were talking, you didn't hear my cat howling, did you?
No, I don't know if you heard cars driving by me. I'm sitting in my car outside a Walmart.
Sorry, so yeah, my cat was howling in the background. I heard it when I was listening back. So sorry about that. She's deaf, so she's loud. So pardon the howls. I just had to take a quick break to let her into the room. But yeah, let's get back to it.
How's Nora?
She is doing well. She's been working from home ever since, well, for a long time now, where it is COVID world. So she gets a little stir crazy, but she's as active as she's ever been, doing other things, physically active, right? Like she hopped on the Peloton thing,
Mm.
right, or early pandemic, and like she lost a bunch of weight, and she's feeling good about herself, and she's got us signed up for all these running races, and she's doing a marathon this year, and
Wow.
she's almost too busy for me.
You just sort of weave in and out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something I really need to get back into, and I haven't been to the gym in over 6 months. Yeah, my trainer left me, so
Oh, no.
well, he didn't leave me as in like dumped me or anything, but
Right,
he decided he's not doing training anymore. He's a prison officer, so I don't have a trainer at the minute.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I really need to get back to exercising. That's just another thing. Like 2022 was just an awful year, and it meant that I didn't have the time or the energy to really look after myself as well as I've been used to. So I need to really get on that this year. I need to find a new trainer. I need to start going back to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I think the very last time I did any form of serious exercise was I was in France, actually. Oh. Yeah. My husband and I went on holiday to France in April last year. And
great.
yeah, it was wonderful. It was we've been together almost 17 years. Mm-hmm. And in that time, I've never been able to get him to leave the British Isles.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's very much a home bird. He's not really that fond of traveling too much. So we've been on holidays to like Scotland and Devon and Cornwall and Wales and stuff. But last year, I said I wanted to go to France. So we did. And we went to a town that I worked in 10 years ago, and it was wonderful.
Oh, that's cool.
It was
yeah, so you just like bed and breakfast? Like where'd you stay and how long were you there?
We were there for a week, 10 days. So the company I used to work for 10 years ago is I don't know if you guys have it, but have you heard of Eurocamp?
No.
No, so it's not camping, because I don't like camping. Well, I do. That's a boring question about camping. But it's like a static. What would you call it? Not mobile home.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So and you stay in one of them. So it's not like a hotel, but it's like a caravan. But they're quite big. They're like little bungalows. Mm-hmm. And we stayed because I used to work for that company. So we stayed in them, and it was quite surreal being sort of my old stomping ground and stuff. And a lot of the bars and the restaurants are still there, and it was really nice. I went and looked where I used to live. It was kind of cool.
That's great.
But every morning Nick and I would go to the beach and do some exercise, which is cool. That's the last time I did any serious exercise, and that was April.
Oh. Yeah. Well, you'll get back to it. I mean, it was you were always posting things like with your weightlifting and stuff. Like here's my gain for the week, or I just lifted this, or I did that, or whatever.
Yeah. It's the best, the PBs, and I miss it so much. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if I'm going to be getting back into this podcasting game, I need to get back into the gym as well, because my podcast is called Exercising.
Yep.
So I can't just have the depression. I'm going to do the exercising too. Mm-hmm. You said just before, which made me so happy. You said that we're friends and that you love me, and I just want to say I love you too.
Thank you.
I do, and I really care about you. And I don't know. I didn't sleep so well last night, and I've been working this morning from 9 o'clock, so I'm working about 4-ish hours. Mm-hmm. And my mood was getting lower and lower, but I was also quite excited because I knew I was talking to you. And already I feel so much better.
Great.
I'm in a really good mood.
Okay, so we were talking about traveling.
Yes.
And there's been talk for years about you being somewhere in the great vast United States at some point.
Yes.
Is that still a thing?
I'm still saving up my pennies for it, yes.
Okay.
So I got a second job last year, sort of June sort of time. I started working at a bar in the village, and the sole reason, well, no, there's two reasons. One, my mortgage went up. There weren't adult reasons. It's just it sucks being a grown up sometimes.
Yeah.
But the second reason was I wanted some extra money to save to go to America, and I'm still saving. I had to leave that job, unfortunately, but I do work there occasionally, just for a few hours every week, and all that money is going towards my America trip. So that's hopefully will be happening. I'm hoping by maybe autumn/fall, maybe.
Okay, great.
And if not, then it'll be spring next year.
Okay. So Nora and I she's long talked about wanting to go take a trip to Ireland.
Ooh.
We both have some Irish in us, right? And so this past Christmas, like we have a kind of a broad extended family, right? There's lots of kids involved with both of us with previous marriages and things like that. So she had put out just like a Christmas list for all the kids. Like here's some stuff like that I might like, right? I mean, her kids aren't around that much. They're 16 and older. So they're maybe not as in tune with what mom wants, and my kids are, they see her whatever, like 4 or 5 times a year, maybe something like that, right? So, and it became clear early on after that like they had actually already done their own thing. Like we're gonna get her this, we're gonna get her that. So I got it in my head, I'm just gonna get her everything on the list, right? Because I was, whatever. There was like one kind of pricey thing, but everything else was like $20 here, 20, $30 there, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the heck, right? I mean, there's a lot of story that you and I haven't talked about with Nora and me, and this is not the location to do it. But I'm just like, she has such a big impact, and I credit her with me still being here. Right, not for any one like giant moment, like she didn't save me from a cliff or something like that, but metaphorically she did, right? But and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this, and then I got her a couple other things and whatever. So she was to the point where she said I embarrassed her at Christmas because we don't get a lot of gifts for the kids, and they're big ticket things. So like the 19-year-old, like she got like laser hair removal was a thing, right? So this is something that's been going on. So that's like, remember when it's Christmas Eve, which is where we do Christmas gift exchange, that you've got this, and the boy wanted a new laptop, so we gave a bunch of money towards that. So they had like 2 or 3 things and whatever. And Nora's just like one thing after another. But so then at the end of the evening, I'm like, okay, what do you want for Christmas next year? Right? Like kind of funny, like, haha, like, let me see if I can beat this. And she's like, I want to go to Ireland.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I don't know if that's happening this year. It very well might be. So my question to you is, how far and how intricate is it to get from, say, Ireland to near you?
It's actually very easy because I live on the coast. That points towards Ireland.
Okay.
So you can get, or I could meet you in Ireland or something like, or you could come this way, but you can get a ferry, but you can also fly. And I don't live too far from a major airport, about 40-minute drive from a major airport. The ferry might be a bit different, but I do live on the coast, and there's lots of ports around me, so that's actually fairly easy to get to me from Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, now I've got more reason to try to organize this, which is not my strong point. Like in our married dynamic, like Nora is the planner, and she gets a kick out of like researching things. Like if I said, hey, I want to get a new Apple device, or I want to get whatever, a new laptop, let's say, right? And I want it, like, I really need something new for the podcasting and this and that. And like, I go to bed early and I'll wake up the next morning and she will have sent me like 5 links, like Facebook Messenger, like, hey, here's some ideas. And
That's really funny because in my marriage dynamic, that's who I am too. And if Nick mentions something within half an hour, I've researched almost everything about it.
yeah, that would be exciting. I would like that. And
Yeah, me too.
and
I'll
she
be that.
said like, I asked her how long, and she's like, well, if we're going, we might as well go for like 10 days.
Mm.
And in my head, like boring JP, right? I'm like, how do we spend 10 days in Ireland? Like what?
Oh, you could fill 10 days in Ireland, yeah.
Really? Okay, so let's do some travel agency for Ireland. Like what would I do? I mean,
Well,
all I know of Ireland is like, and this is very like American centric, right? Like I know like Blarney Stone, I know like lush greenery, right? Like
yes.
beautiful countryside or whatever.
Mm.
But like there's
Mm.
nothing else that like I said, I'm gonna go to Ireland for this. Like I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't do the sort of typical thing that an American would probably want to do in Ireland, and that's drink loads of Guinness.
Yeah, that's not me. But
No, it's not you told it. But some of the cities are absolutely stunning, and there's like theatre, and there's um, like museums, if that's like your kind of thing. But
mhm.
if it was me, I don't know if like do you like hiking, walking. Like there's
Yeah.
loads of places to go hiking and walking and cycling, and there's so much history, even just in the cities. I think you'd fill 10 days, definitely.
Okay.
But if you were spending some time over on my island,
hmm
Ireland, not Ireland, um, I'm thinking of all the things I want to show you. Because I live in a really beautiful part of, so I live on the Fylde coast,
hmm
in a really beautiful place, and there's lots to do here too. So, and plus you could stay at my house. That would be amazing.
Okay. Well, I've got to get serious about this one day. I need to put this on my not resolution list that I have. So I think we talked about this. I spent a summer in England,
You
right,
did, yeah.
in college, right? And so I've
Mm.
done not obviously I didn't have that much free time. So I've done a lot of the touristy kind of things, right? Like, ooh, Big Ben, ooh, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just loved it there, and it seemed um, like everywhere I went, there was something truly historical to
Mm.
see, to visit, right? Like here in America, I mean, we're not that old of a country, right? So
That's
I
true.
mean, we've got history, but we don't have anything. We don't have like the oldest church in wherever that was built in 1208 and
Mm.
something like that, right? I mean, we destroyed all the indigenous Native American things that were around, right? So we don't have that, and so that's really interesting to me.
Oh,
That like here's something that has actually like whatever. I'm not religious whatsoever, but when I see an old cathedral and I'm like,
mm.
wow, somebody like people were moved to do this. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like this is fantastic. Um, so yeah, I mean, I really, I mean, anywhere in Europe, I think probably holds true to that. But
Yeah.
I have really fond memories of my whatever it was 7 weeks, 8 weeks when I was in Cambridge is where I was at, but I went to London like every weekend or something like that. Right.
Oh, Cambridge itself is just a beautiful place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I'm just thinking actually, you said about cathedrals. I went to Lincoln Cathedral in the summer
hmm
last year, and I was kind of blown away how old it was because it's 951 years old.
Oh my gosh.
That's just wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of like I'm just trying to think about whereabouts I live. Like I'm not too far from Liverpool. There's a lot of history there too.
hmm
Um, but yeah, that's kind of cool. That's cool that's a possible possibility for something that might happen. But I
Yeah.
am still planning on coming to America. I'm likely just be on my own or with my sister. We
hmm
haven't decided just yet, and I haven't really decided where to go. But I definitely want to come and see you at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll make a trip to come find you wherever. I mean, because it's the scales are just enormous here,
it's
right? Like
ginormous.
yeah.
Well, one of the you know, obviously a reason I wanted to go to America because to be able to meet you in person would be amazing. But as I mentioned before, I joined TikTok Gaily last year,
hmm
and through that I met loads of like new people. Um, and that inspired a lot of them are American. That inspired me again to sort of really think I'd really like to go and visit some of these people, but
Yeah.
I'm not so much in touch with a couple of Canadians as well.
Okay.
But I'm not really as much in touch with them as I used to be, so that's probably not going to happen. But I'll definitely come see you because we've standed the test of time.
So yes, we have. Yes.
But I'd still like to go to Canada. Canada's always intrigued me.
Yeah, it's well, yeah, I don't know. They're like
Cold.
America's hat, right? We don't think about it that much. But yeah, I mean there's certainly like the few major cities are great, right? But
Mm.
other than that, there's it's a lot of cold landscape,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
But and everything's so spread out. Like if you wanted to go to like Montreal, great, fantastic. Or I'm totally dropping names off. I can't think of anything. But then like Vancouver is
Yeah.
the place to go, right? But that's whatever 3,000 miles away, right?
Actually,
Like it's
easy.
yeah,
Yeah, like sort of so many domestic flights in America, and it's just because I think the longest I've ever been in a car driving was 9 hours, and that was to go to the very top of Scotland, and that
hmm
seemed a really long journey. But a 9 hour drive isn't quite won't get you quite as far across a country like America. You might just get to another
no,
state.
right,
Maybe.
yeah, yeah, depending on the state, yeah. So yeah, it was yeah, where it's outrageously large here. So
But hopefully I will stomp the ground sometime. Um, I'm afraid we're gonna have to cut it short. I'm afraid because it's my lunch break's almost
yeah,
over.
you've got work to do.
I
That's fine.
do. This has been wonderful though. Catching up with you properly, and hopefully I get to chat to you again soon. Like
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
uh,
absolutely. And remember what we talked about a little bit, right? Like kind of a regular thing. If
yeah,
we can work
yeah.
that out, that'd be great.
I would really
Um,
like that. Yeah.
I think I think we'd both benefit from that, and I think our listeners would enjoy that.
Yeah, I think
Because
we do share. I'm sure we must share some listeners. So, I I'm a listener of your podcast. That's how we became friends. But I think you sort of springboarded me a little, where you shared my first episode, which was awesome, and then I got lots of listeners. So I'm sure there are people listening even now that know the both of us as individuals, but also as a friend. So
yeah,
I'm sure they'd like to hear more of us. Hopefully.
yeah, yeah. Hopefully we can work that out. That'd be great.
It's
Cool,
been
cool.
super, super nice catching up with you, JP. I almost forgot we were recording it for a podcast, so I feel like I've been ignoring people, but that's the beauty of podcasts, isn't it? That people
Yeah,
listen to you.
yeah, yes, yes. So
Thank you for being on my episode.
yeah, thanks for the chat. I'm glad we got together,
Yeah,
and hopefully I said something reasonably intelligent, and it makes a good show
absolutely.
for you.
You
Okay.
always do.